everyone. Welcome to the Clima Conversation Podcast, where we get to know people who are using their platform to move the needle on climate repair. I'm Sofia, carbon consultant here on Clima, and today I'm going to be the one interviewing, as our guest is actually CEO and founder of Clima, Guy Dickinson. Hey Guy, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Hi Sophia, thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure to have you. How's your day been? Good?
It's been good. It's been a busy day. I'm looking forward to seeing what questions we're going to tease out today and, really start getting the platform moving.
Amazing. All right. So I think the first question will be for you to give a bit of an introduction to our listeners.
Sure. So I'm Guy Dickinson. I started Clima about 3 years ago. Clima is a platform that is here to help businesses understand carbon markets and what it means to go carbon neutral, because it can mean many different things to many people.
Totally.
My background was I used to be a trader. I traded financial markets for about 25 years prior to that. Lived in 5 or 6 countries in Asia. I've traded commodities. Generally, I was always at the forefront of financial markets, and I always took a view that price of things is really important to change the way people react. So if I can change the price of carbon, then I can change the speed of the transition, i.e. the higher the price of carbon, the quicker companies need to get on board.
Yeah, definitely. So what was your inspiration for founding Clima?
Oh, gee, getting deep early there. Look, I think COVID was a big part of it. I was working at HSBC as the treasurer of the bank, and I spent a lot of time down there on my own, and I didn't have all those people reporting to me, asking me questions, and it gave me time to step back for a minute and think about what am I going to do with my next 25 years. Yeah. Because Sophia, you haven't lived this yet, but when you get to about 50, you start breaking your life into 3 25-year lots, and I'm now into my third and possibly my last. And it doesn't make me old, but it makes me feel older, and it makes me want to do more with my time from a impact perspective. Yeah. So I take the skills that I have, I try and bring a whole bunch of people together. Yeah. And to do that, I need to use the skills that they've got to supplement the skills that I don't have. Yeah. So when I started this company, it was really about saying, okay, I'm a risk taker. I don't mind taking risks, but I know what I'm not good at. I'm not good at marketing. I'm not good at a whole lot of other things. But what I am is seeing that the transition is coming, the regulatory requirements are coming as well at the same time. Yeah. And so who do I surround myself with to make the most of my next 10 years, to try and give the future a better chance? Ultimately, I've got children. One of them is a co-founder of the business. I get to work with him 3 days a week. I've also got an 11-year-old. What future are we giving him? So there was a lot of motivations at the end of the day. But ultimately what was most important was that I have something to offer, and who wants to come on the journey with me?
Yeah. Well, that's inspiring. Something definitely to think about. Now, my next question is, what makes Clima different from other businesses out there?
Yeah, it's a great question. Ultimately, transparency, I think, is really the big difference here. This market it's got all sorts of different challenges. Yeah. Transparency, trust. Who do you talk to? Are there so many questions? Is it actually, do I need to do it? Do I have to do it? Is it a regulatory driven thing? Is it voluntary? Do my customers care? Does my wife care? There's so many different questions here. And I think until you come together as a community of people and talk about this, we kind of all realize that I could go into any room at the end of the day and say, do you care about the environment? Every single person in that room will say yes.
Yeah, I agree.
They will. And if they didn't, you don't want to be talking to that person. So ultimately, if I think about this, I took that away and I said, well, that's a really great place to start. Yeah. No one wants to live in a worse climate. And so for me, that's what I take away from these conversations, is having something that everyone can hold on to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we've seen it with a lot of our clients, that they find this market and like this space so confusing. So definitely offering that clarity, it's a big differentiator. Yeah. So to start wrapping up this first episode, I would like to ask you, what should our listeners expect for our next episodes and series?
Yeah, great question.
This podcast in general, actually.
Well, I think the podcast in general is about trying to understand how people are doing stuff in this space. And it affects everyone. There's no one that is not involved in this transition. You're all going to touch carbon. It's all going to touch you in some subtle way, some not so subtle ways. So for me, having access to people who are considered best in class for their platform, that could be an electric car company, it could be one of Australia's largest retailers. It's stuff which we understand, it's stuff which we use, and this is where every part of the customer base that I've touched, I now have a relationship with. Yeah. And those people genuinely are our customers because they care about what they're doing. They've got authentic missions around what they're doing. They're the people that I want to engage with. They're the people that I want my audience to engage with, so that they can understand that everyone has a job to play on this journey, because ultimately we've seen it recently at the COP28, which only concluded in the last couple of days. Ultimately, nothing's changed. It's COP28. That's 28 years ago. Yeah. So if we think about what this means, it's not going to happen for us. This is not going to be done around us. It's done from within us. And so helping to educate and engage with an awesome audience who wants to learn. They want to learn about things which they didn't understand before. And I think what I like most about doing the research around this podcast is what I learn in the process of even trying to formulate the questions that I'm going to ask my guests. Totally. So we're both going to learn on that journey, and teasing out the little nitbits about how to scale a business as well, and giving other value around just climate discussions. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, definitely. I think helping each other these upcoming years is quite important. Well, thank you so much, Guy. That concludes our first episode. Great to have you here. And yeah, stay tuned for our next episode.
Thanks, Sofia.